Hey, welcome to Today Matters, our short devotional in the Word of God. My name is Chad Bickley, and I serve as the executive pastor here at Skyline Church. If you have attended Skyline, you have probably heard a phrase from one of our core values that says, "You'll never walk alone." This morning, I want to take a look at a fascinating story in Zacchaeus, who was from the outside, had fame, money, prestige, but was clearly alone and searching for a new start. This story is fascinating because one meal with Jesus completely changed the direction and the actions of his life. I want to read to you Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man there was named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he could not because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed up a sycamore tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to the house, because this man too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." This morning, let's take a look at this story. There is a chief tax collector that is very obvious the whole town despises. Zacchaeus has come to a point in his life where he obviously is not happy and wants to see what this Jesus guy is all about. But as the crowd grows bigger and bigger, it prevents Zacchaeus from seeing Jesus because, number one, they don't like him and they don't want him to come through. And the second reason, he was short, so he couldn't see Jesus. So what did Zacchaeus do? He runs ahead, finds a sycamore tree, climbs up it to get a view of Jesus. Jesus stops, looks up, tells Zacchaeus he is coming to his house today. Jesus knows this is going to cause some disruption with everyone that is around because no one likes this guy. This is an incredible story and a great reminder to all of us that Jesus can save anyone. There's 4 important lessons that I see that we can apply this story to our life. Number 1, do not let excuses get in the way of you seeing Jesus. Zacchaeus that day could have easily left because the crowd was too big and they all, hated him. But instead, had a find a way, make a way attitude to find a tree to climb up. What excuses are holding you back from developing a closer relationship with Jesus? Too busy? Too many distractions? Tired? You have to identify those excuses that are in your way of developing a closer relationship with Jesus. One excuse I know I struggle with is getting right to my tasks of the day. But it is always interesting to me that when I start my day the right way, of giving God time to read, meditate on what he has for me that day, I actually have more energy and my other tasks become less stressful and they actually get accomplished. The second thing I see in this story is do not let culture determine your relationship with Jesus. In that culture, it was not proper for a man to run. If a man had to run in those days, they would have to tie up their long tunic and show their legs. For a grown man, this was both humiliating and shameful. Well, Zacchaeus not only ran, but he also climbed a tree. There was nothing that got in the way of him from seeing Jesus. We could spend a lot of time on this one, but the bottom line is we cannot let our culture determine our relationship with Jesus. Pastor Jeremy talks a lot about putting our faith over fear. We serve a big God, and the Bible is our truth of what it says is the truth that guides us, not what the culture says. If you follow the culture, you will get what the culture gets. If you follow Jesus, you will get what Jesus gives. Choice is yours. The third point from this story that I see is we have to take the first step towards Jesus. If Zacchaeus never climbed the tree, he would have never discovered a new life that was ahead of him. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." What did Jesus do in response to Zacchaeus searching for him? Jesus went to his house of the chief tax collector. Of all the people that day, Jesus chose to have a meal with the chief tax collector. Why? Because Zacchaeus was seeking a new life and made the first steps towards Jesus. What is holding you back from taking that first step? It may be a step of consistently going to church. It might be trusting God with your finances. It might be taking the first step in a daily devotional or prayer life. Or who do you know that is seeking God that you can be a light to? Another phrase that we use around here is an invite can change a life. Having our eyes open every day to the people who are searching and knowing that we have the good news to share with them will change their life. The fourth point that I see in this story is to respond to Jesus' call. When Jesus looked at Zacchaeus and told him, "I'm coming to your house today," his response was immediate. When God puts something on your heart, how do you respond to it? You may be sitting in church and God is speaking through the message to take action in your life. If you don't respond immediately, chances are you will lose that opportunity. Once Zacchaeus responded to Jesus' call and received a new life, he then responded with generosity. Can you imagine the IRS coming to your door and saying, "I've cheated you," and giving back 4 times what they took? Pretty amazing transformation. Jesus changed Zacchaeus' life. I can imagine the load lifted off his shoulder. I imagine the way he gave back the money was not out of shame, but excitement of a new life. I also imagine that God used Zacchaeus to reach a lot of people after he accepted Christ. This is a fascinating story of life change. My prayer is that you apply these 4 points to your life. Number 1, don't let excuses get in the way of you seeing Jesus. Number 2, don't let culture determine your relationship with Jesus. Number 3, we have to take the first step towards Jesus. And number 4, respond to Jesus' call in your life. God can change your life in one moment. Start today because today matters.